1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Welcome back to the TMCJ podcast. We are on episode 76. And this is going to be the first week where we attempt our new, more condensed format. We kind of realized, and we said this at the end of last week's podcast, but for those that didn't hear it or didn't listen all the way to the end, we decided that, we want to separate out the media bits. So, if we watch a movie or do a movie night or something like that, we'll potentially be working on, kind of just a standalone thing that will go up either as audio and video that's just about that movie, or just about that book, or just about that whatever we were going to talk about in the media segment. On the other hand, if there is something that we don't want to do that whole thing for, we can honestly just cover it in the topics segment. Go hey, we watched this thing, we're not going to talk about it any more than that, and here's our thoughts on it. So, yeah. Again, just more condensed. So we'll have topics, and we'll have the wild card segment, which...
Today, as it's episode 76, we'll be talking about how much we love Fallout 76. Alright, let's go!
Oh, God damn. That game apparently has gotten a lot better, from what I've heard.
Apparently. I'm not going to risk it.
It actually has, positive ratings on Steam now, which shocked me, because that game was a piece of ass when it came out, and not a good ass. But yeah, so that's what we got there. Segment 3, we're probably going to be going back to an old favorite of ours that we haven't touched in a while. So hopefully we'll have some new ideas for that. And that's Long Story Short, our fun little game where we try to talk very, very quickly and fail. But yeah, to open up, I had a topic, and this is less a topic and more just, you ever have these moments, just in your daily life, in your daily routine, where you just think, my brain's wired backwards. Let me tell you. So, my favorite kind of weather is overcast and a little rainy. I love waking up really early in the morning, and I feel weird if I don't. When I'm in, a bad mood or something like that, or listening to, really, really sad songs, watching, tragedies, cheers me up. I feel happier after I watch those things. I listen to angry music, and I feel calm. I think... And
then there's me, who woke up 4 hours later today because I wasn't working, and was very glad for it not being frosty or raining today, because I've been dealing with that shit all week.
Yeah, it's been rotating here. But it is bright and sunny here, which, again, not my favorite kind of weather. And I like winter. I prefer fall and winter to spring and summer. Blue's got this very angry look on his face right now, because he's...
just disgusted.
So, for reference, Blue is in...
My nose is so cold.
He's in a freezing cold house. He's wearing multiple layers. Meanwhile, it's cold here. Coat on. It is cold here, too, but I actually like the cold, so I'm just sitting here in a tank top.
You'd fucking love it here.
Oh, I probably would. But yeah, no, it was just one of those thoughts, because everyone most people I talk to, that is not their view. That bright sunny days, it's it's raining, it's shitty out. I love it when
bright,
it's raining.
It's not the sunlight that I like, it's the warmth.
Yeah, warm and dry.
I think it's the main thing, because I'm very used to being out and about at the middle of the night. I'm quite used to that.
Yeah.
So the lightness, yeah, not a big thing for me. But
so yeah. My thinking, the other reason that I came to that conclusion, this feels I'm wired backwards, is it doesn't seem natural for that to be a preference, because think about it, if we were still living out in the wild, cave people, you really wouldn't like a cold, rainy day, because it means you have to find shelter. It means you have to find warmth. If you're hunter-gatherer, you can't go out there and, kill buffalo.
Yeah, but you're always looking for one of those excuses to prove your manliness. Whereas I'm perfectly comfortable in a nice chair by the fire.
Well, I'm not. It's not a proof of manliness sort of thing. If you were a cave person, it's a survival thing.
True. But that has all been lost in this day and age.
True, and that's what I'm saying is maybe this aberrant way of thinking is.
I mean, are you a fan of camping?
I've only been a few times. I don't know. I think I'd like it. I hated it I hated the idea when I was younger. But now I'm starting to think, like, I think I'd actually enjoy it. Just
Again, I'm the other way around. When I was young, I wanted to go camping so much. These days, I'm like, nah, I like an internet connection and...
Yeah, in general, I'm like that, but I think part of it is when I was younger, like, we had, like, one computer in the house. I didn't have a cell phone until I was in, like, high school and stuff like that. And so I kind of just was, like, okay with what I had around me, and I didn't really feel the need to go camping or see any real appeal in it. But now, like, I'm sitting here, there's a monitor there, there's a monitor there, there's a microphone in my face, there's a camera back there, there's all this technology surrounding me, and the idea of just getting away from all of that and being out in the middle of the wilderness for, like, a day or two, that's very appealing to me.
What he's saying is he wants to get away from me.
It's like, all right, podcast over. That was me quitting. Bye.
Yeah.
No, but I wouldn't want to do it often, but I think doing that, like, once every year or two, just for a few days to kind of completely cut yourself off from technology, I think that'd be good.
You know where you could do all of that, Kaiser, and still be in comfort?
A hotel?
Dismantle the game.
Yes, Blue's been playing a lot of this game, Dysmantle.
I have. I'm on like 22 hours now. So for a single player game, that's quite a lot. And I'm like halfway through the story, I think. It started strong, then I had a lot. It goes through very much phases of really interesting and then really boring. Because I'm sure you're the same. You like 100%ing a game when it's not impossible, right?
Yeah, if it's reasonable. If the game's putting, like, some bullshit collectibles in my face, then I might not do it.
So the main progression in this is that you have two kinds of weapon damage, slashing and bashing. I can't remember. And they can break different objects. And we're talking like low level. You can break a tin on a counter with a baseball bat. No, that's something to get to. You can break a tin on a counter with like a crowbar, right? And then way later in the game, you can use like an axe to cut down a tree.
Yeah.
When you upgrade the items, though, so bear in mind a crowbar, not very powerful in this game. It can just about break wooden fences, I think. Then you get to the baseball bat, and the baseball bat can basically destroy cars.
Wait, is this an aluminum bat or a wood bat?
This is a wooden bat.
Those things will... No. Anyone who... This game designer has never played baseball. I haven't even played baseball that much, and I know that's bullshit.
Well, it's funny because you have a metal crowbar, and you upgrade to a wooden bat. And you're like knocking out like these cement pillars that go around people's houses with the iron railings on them. Knocking out them with a baseball bat.
In baseball, the batters occasionally they shatter the bats on the ball.
Really? Do they?
Yes, it does happen every now and again.
Holy shit.
There's actually a couple really famous instances where batters have been revealed to be using corked bats, like which they're not allowed to use in game, and because the bat has shattered on a hit. But normal wooden bat, they shatter. It's not like all the time, but it does happen with some regularity. Granted, you're talking about people who are hitting the ball as hard as they can, and it's flying from like a professional pitcher, so it's going like 98 miles an hour. But
to be fair, it was like I've just watched Knight's Tale again, right? And so they have lances, right?
Yeah.
Wooden lances, huge things, and they actually quite often shatter on people's armor.
So this is the thing. Lances, there were two different types of lances in medieval times. They had tourney lances and they had normal lances. So normal they were both wood, tipped. But yeah, the tourney lances were made
blunted
to be a little bit. They were blunted and they were made to splinter on hit so that you wouldn't kill the guy. Yeah, but
although it did sometimes happen.
But it does make yeah. But so yeah, a wooden baseball bat is not going to be able to take out a concrete brick. If a baseball bat can break on a baseball, then it's gonna definitely break on a concrete block or a car.
To be fair, those pitches serve pretty fucking fast.
They do. But it's just hilarious to me.
Yeah, no. And on the other side, with the cutting, you start with a sickle, and then you're meant to go to a machete, but I skipped right over that and went to a fire axe. So that kind of makes a bit more sense on that side, at least.
Yeah.
But no, I'm expecting to get a sledgehammer or something soon. I did get a katana, way later than I got the fire axe. So much so that I had fully upgraded the fire axe to massive amounts of damage. And I get this katana, and it's really cool looking, but it does shit damage compared to the fire axe.
Yeah.
So,
and this is one of the. I wonder if it's maybe you're just getting one of those department store katanas.
Yeah, well, it's fuck. What was it? There was a side quest you had to do to get it, and these guys stole it from a shop or something. They hid it in a van. The van got impounded. Then you pull it out of the van, and this is I don't know. Does metal dull over time? If it was inside a van?
It depends. So if it's not some variety of stainless, if it's actually steel, and it's not contained properly, then moisture eventually it will corrode, but it won't necessarily dull.
Right. I mean, to initially get it, to make it, you make it out of wood and iron. So maybe not. Mind you, the upgrading path to some of the items is very weird in the game.
Yeah, that might just be a different. I doubt they wanted to go through full steel making.
No, there's steel in the game. It goes iron, then steel, and titanium.
Well, if it's iron, then it makes sense as a piece of shit, because iron is harder and stronger than steel, but it's also extremely brittle. The benefits of steel is the fact that, this is me going back to engineering, but the benefits of steel is its elasticity. It'll actually you can deform it and it'll go back to its original shape, which is what makes steel great for making things like springs, or great for support structures for buildings or things, because it will flex and move a little bit, but it won't deform or break like iron will.
But yeah, what I think I'm enjoying a lot about the game, though, is that there aren't really any ranged weapons. It's basically all melee. Super late in the game in the tech tree, I've now discovered that I can make a hunting rifle, but that gets 4 shots. And after that, you need to restock at a particular place. So yes, it is a zombie game. Oh, I think I spoke about it before anyway. But yeah, so no, I'm enjoying that.
God. I've been, God, what have I been doing this week? I've been going back to playing The Witcher 2. Because it's the only game I've never beaten.
Did you actually continue watching the Witcher series?
No, I do need to go back and watch that, though. Witcher 2. Witcher Season 2.
Well, no. Oh, yeah, no, go.
Because at this point, now, both Juan and Raymond have finished it, and I haven't.
Oh, really? I haven't finished it yet, either. I need to get back to it, though.
Yeah. I think it was either... I don't remember which one of them said it. One of them said they liked it better than Season 1. So we'll see how that works out. I'm, again, hopeful, but there's all kinds of little things that still kind of bug me.
Yeah, I didn't give it a sparkling review on my first viewing of the first couple of episodes.
Yeah. I don't know, it strikes me as I think I've complained about it way too much on the podcast already. But I'll just kind of summarize my thoughts on the first season as they get so much right that the few things that they get wrong annoy me all the more.
Right.
I think that's what my opinion boils down to. They got so much so correctly, and then they just got a few key things wrong, and that's why I kind of fixate on them. But I don't want to go over that old ground again.
Very stuff. We'll save it for a episode 2 thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we were discussing before we started the podcast today. We were discussing RTSs.
Yeah, and it's interesting you bring this. So RTS games were something, and I didn't realize this until we were talking about it there.
That's real-time strategy, by the way.
Yeah, real-time strategy games. So things like StarCraft, Age of Empires, Command and Conquer. That game Timberborn I was talking about, to an extent.
I'd call that more like a city builder.
Yeah, I guess so. It is real-time, but you're not really moving the units individually. You're just building stuff.
Also, can't you pause it?
Yeah, you can pause it.
Okay.
I mean, older RTSs, when you're playing the campaign mode, you can pause it. Just not multiplayer. Actually, even a multiplayer.
There's multiplayer for Timberborn?
No.
Oh.
I was talking about how you could pause other RTS games. Like, you can pause, all those other ones. But yeah, I was saying, like, the first RTS game I played was Age of Empires 2, and that was back when it came out in 99. As much as I play StarCraft now, I never played StarCraft until I was in high school, which was years after it came out, apparently.
Right. Yes, no, what was it, 98? Wait, StarCraft was... I've already forgotten.
I'm pretty sure it was 98.
Yeah. Age of Empires was
97.
97, was it?
Age of Empires 1 was 97.
Yeah. 99 was...
Age of Empires 2, yeah.
Yeah. But no, I think the first one I remember playing was obviously Old Red Alert, which you've now played as well a little bit, but...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very different type of game, though. Age of Empires 2, back when that... Like, I really got into that game in middle school, like, to the point where... Like, I was playing in ranked matches. Like, I actually got really good at the map builder and, like, programming, like, scripted events in it. It had a really, really in-depth map editor. And I remember spending a ton of time playing around with those things.
See, for me, the first major one I got into was probably Age of Mythology. I loved the god upgrade systems. I loved that mission where it's a dream sequence and you play as the villains. There's a fuck ton of relics around.
God, I played Age of Empires, or not Age of Empires. I did play Age of Mythology. I didn't get nearly as into it as I did with Age of Empires 2.
Oh, really?
I still remember like my favorite race and build to play in the multiplayer. I would play as the Huns because you didn't have to build houses. They just start off with 200 population right off the bat.
Right.
Because they're meant to be like kind of nomadic, and then it made things a little bit easier on the startup because you didn't have to build houses, you didn't have to defend them, so you didn't have to waste the resources. But you started off with less food. This is how much I played the game that, like, fucking 20 years later, I still remember exactly how I played that one race.
Yeah, I think I probably just went, for Age of Mythology, I probably just went down the Anubis route every time because I loved the doggy.
I think I played the Egyptians too. I can't remember.
Well, I think Thor was also pretty darn good.
The Norse were really good. I liked how they got faith by fighting.
And they got the giants as well.
Age of Mythology, for those that don't know, is it's made by the same people that made Age of Empires, and it's very much in the same vein. But whereas Age of Empires was very grounded in reality in terms of what the units were, and it was very much historical, talking about like different medieval, the medieval period and all the different civilizations around that time. That's what all the campaigns were about. There was one about Joan of Arc. Age of Mythology was focused on... It was much more fantastical. Like, you had the Greeks, the Egyptians, and the Norse. And
you had the mythos creatures of old, like the Cyclops.
Yeah.
And Pegasus.
And they all had a way to gather faith, which you would then use to make those mythical creatures.
Yeah.
And use god powers and things like that.
And cheats. I loved the cheats in that game.
There was one, I can't remember the one in Age of Empires 2, but there was a way you could get a Shelby Mustang that fired grenades out of its headlights.
Oh, damn. Yeah, in Age of Mythology, the one I always remember is Wovwu, which summons a a pink flying pig with wings and a rainbow that comes out of its arse when it flies along. It shoots love hearts.
The code in Age of Empires 2 to get that car was, how do I turn this on? And you would get this it was like a Shelby Mustang convertible, and it would fire like bullets out of the headlights. I think it was hilarious. But no, in Age of Mythology, that was one of the things I liked, because that was when they first went down the road of making the civilizations very distinct from one another. Because in Age of Empires 2, they got different bonuses, they might have a couple different units, but it was functionally the same. They also looked a little bit different, but the major structures were the same. But in Age of Mythology, like, the Greeks, they gathered faith by building a temple and assigning worshippers to it. The Norse, also,
I so rarely ever made the wonders, but I know they were there.
Yeah, I never used them either. The multiplayer mode...
Was that in number 2?
It's in... Wonders were in all of them, as far as I know.
Because I think in number 2 you needed to make one before you could make a Titan or something, right? Or am I wrong?
I don't know. I thought you meant Age of Empires 2, because there were Wonders in that as well. I think Wonders are kind of a staple of the Age of series.
And Civilization kind of picked up it. Actually, no, Civilization, I guess, came from before that, technically.
Yeah, Sid Meier's Civilization was a very different thing. God.
But yeah.
And now Age of Empires 4 is out, and I'm not a huge fan, because it's slow as hell. The game is fun. Yeah. It's beautiful, and it plays a lot better than Age of Empires 3 did. Age of Empires 3 went in a new direction, and it wasn't as good as the previous ones, the Age of Mythologies or the Age of Empires. Age of Empires 4 feels a lot more like those other ones, but it is so painfully, apocalyptically slow.
Sounds like it just needs a good mod to fix that way.
What it needs is, so even in Age of Empires 2, you could play on normal, faster, fastest, and you could also slow it down if you wanted to. StarCraft famously, its default setting is fastest, but it also had the ability to slow it down if you really wanted to. And so it's probably because I've played so many RTS games now, playing Age of Empires 4 and not having the ability to speed anything up is just painful. Like, I have to have like a movie on in the background when I'm playing it, even in multiplayer, because there's just so much downtime. So I get that
is probably for the newer players, player base.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I remember watching a game that you were playing and your teammate was just doing nothing, it seemed like.
Yeah. And there is an element of that, but I think that this should have been a base feature, because they had to know that there were going to be some people that were going to be coming to this game who had played RTS. Like, a new RTS game comes out that's part of an old franchise. They should have known there were going to be RTS players coming back to play it again. And I'm on a rant now, and I have to keep going. This is something, and I know we've talked about this, like, not on the podcast, but it's something that always infuriates me when I'm trying to solve, like, an IT problem, or when I have, like, a glitch in a game, or I'm trying to figure something out, and I go to look up, like, my question, essentially. So I was trying to look up if there just was a feature I was missing. It's like, if there was a way to speed up the gameplay, even in the campaign, because the campaign is also painfully slow.
Right.
They also went down a weird direction with the cutscenes in campaign that I don't like in Age of Empires 4, but I won't really get into that. I go to look it up, and of course the search online brings me to a forum, and in the forum there's someone asking my exact question: is there a way to speed up the gameplay? Are they planning on adding a feature to make it go faster or something like that and have adjustable speed?
Yeah.
And the very first response, whenever I look something like this up, is always some douchebag who's just like, in my opinion, you don't even need to speed it up. It's perfectly fine in the speed it is. If the game designers wanted you to play it this way, it's like, shut the fuck up. If you don't have the answer...
That immediately makes me think of the fucking Final Fantasy thing I looked up, you remember?
Yeah, well...
When I was like, is there a way of turning off the like bright sparkly shit when you're flying through the air in the middle of the night and it's blinding your fucking screen?
Yeah.
That's the way it was meant to be. It's not that bad. You should just shut up and play a game.
Experience it the way the creators want it. It's like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
It's like, it's the old adage, if you don't have something useful to say, don't say anything.
Yeah.
But every forum has that person, and they're always the first person to respond. Like, almost everything I look up, it doesn't matter what it is. Like, I could be looking up, an issue where I'm getting like an error message, after I've installed like a new piece of hardware in my computer, or I could be trying to do something like in editing. Like I've been trying to do some kind of a visual effect, or figure out how to do something audio wise, and I'll look it up, and I find somebody asking my exact question. Very first response is, you shouldn't need to do that. Don't do that. That's not the right way to do it. Oh, you should use this program. It's much better than this other Just like,
yeah.
If you don't have the answer to the question, shut the fuck up. It's like, oh god, it makes me so mad.
Yeah. God. I mean, also, these kind of forum pages are so old now. I'm waiting for there to be like, because there's never been a single one that stood out from any of the others. I feel like that's a market that someone could get into.
A new variety of forum.
Shitty, don't they? They look like they're from the 90s, even though they're still being used today.
That's true. Yeah, all forums. Yeah, they all kind of look like that. I don't know. I never got into forums when I was like when they were getting like big. I never really got to the point where I felt the need to post anything on them. Why are you making that face? What did you just drink? God damn.
Wood alcohol, no.
Okay. But yeah, I think the only forum I ever posted on with any degree of regularity was back when I was playing Halo 2 regularly, and Bungie, their website had a forum on it.
Right.
And I remember like posting a couple things on there or reading through a few things on there. But even then, it wasn't something I did often. So,
I don't think I've ever posted in one of them. A question or an answer.
I posted on the Steam forums before, I think.
Yeah, you definitely... Because remember, you got banned from...
I got banned from the Mass Effect forums for posting on them.
Yeah.
Because...
which is just shitty.
I complained about the ass.
Yep. Why were we talking about ass earlier? We were, but I can't remember why.
Oh, it was... I was talking about something shitty, and I was like, it's like, I hate...
Ass,
I was like,
ass.
Yeah, that's what I said. I was like, I hate this thing's a fucking piece of ass, and not a good piece of ass.
So for reference, Kaiser is definitely an ass, man. For any of those men out there wanting to know.
Oh, fuck off. Oh god.
Yeah. How much? Yeah. So the other thing. So I was looking through a list of old RTS games, and from 1999, there was a game called Rock Raiders for Lego, and that when I was younger than Red Alert kind of thing, I wasn't allowed to play them yet. Rock Raiders was amazing. It was also immensely fucking hard to me, the age that I was at least.
Yeah.
Because all the missions were like time limited, and you were deep underground. You're basically excavating and pulling back these green crystals back to your base. And when you found a pocket of air, it was like such an air of could be a new kind of gem in there, or some dangerous fucking enemy that I've not seen before that's gonna eat all my crystals. Yeah, it was actually that was probably my first proper strategy-based game. Even though I don't think there were too many enemies, but you did have to like upgrade their weapons to like plasma cutters and stuff.
Yeah, I'm trying to
fuck them up.
Think back, like strategy games, because I really do think that Age of Empires 2 is my first RTS. Because before that, like we didn't actually have a computer in our house until the late 90s. Before that, it was all like console stuff. So I had an NES. My only video game console until we got our N64 was the NES. And I think the N64 came out in '99 as well. So for the entire first third of my life, it was just I was playing stuff like Super Mario, Duck Hunt.
Yeah, I never played Duck Hunt, although I think it was re-released or something, wasn't it? That's why everyone talks about it. I
don't know if it was it probably was by now, but I remember I loved that thing. Like you had the light gun, and you just the light gun that they probably wouldn't allow you to sell now because at least not in the US, because the original one, the one I had, didn't have that orange safety tip on the end of the gun.
Yeah.
So it could have looked like what? Not much of one. It does look very sci-fi.
Another super children-like game that turned out to be absolute nails. I'm pretty sure you played this, I could be wrong. On the GameCube. Can you guess what it is?
What, Luigi's Mansion?
No. Well, that was a great game, but no, that's not. Pikmin.
Pikmin. I never played it.
Oh, really?
I never played it. It was one of the GameCube classics that I never actually had.
It was real fucking hard, and it was stressful. Even as a kid, it was real stressful because you got to like mission 7 or whatever, day 7, and suddenly you're not paying attention, and a monster eats all your Pikmin, or the Pikmin just fall in the water, and they just completely dead. And you have no way of completing the objective, and then you're just fucked for the entire save file.
It's a game that I really like. I didn't really know anything about it back then, because it's not like now where there's you just watch a YouTube video. It's like, oh, here's some great GameCube games. I just didn't know. I got the games I got, and Pikmin was never one of them.
Right. Well, apparently there's actually a story to Pikmin, which I wasn't aware of. But that's because I only played one of the Pikmin games.
Well, it got 2 sequels. It was Pikmin 1, 2, and 3, right?
I think there's a 4th.
Oh, maybe there's... Okay.
It's onto the Switch now as well.
That's awesome. Actually, on the subject of Nintendo, one little known fact. Well, I don't know if it's little known. StarCraft 1 actually came out for the N64.
Really?
There was an N64 port of StarCraft 1.
Really hard to map controls, surely?
I don't know. I can't remember if I ever played it, but I know they had it at the there was a rental store in my town, and I remember going through there and seeing StarCraft. I think it was the Brood War, StarCraft Brood War for the N64. I have no idea how functional it was. I'd love to get my hands on a copy of it and actually try playing it. Maybe I'll try to do that. I'll see if I can find one for sale now and pick it up.
And then, I don't know, 2003 was probably the next big one, with Command & Conquer Generals, the one that's banned in China, for obvious reason.
China?
I fucking love that game.
Yeah. Age of Empires 2, Age of Mythology.
It was really giving America a blowjob, was that game.
Yeah. I couldn't, I actually kind of got out of RTS when I got into my teens, and that's when I started playing games like Halo and Halo 2.
Yeah.
I started really getting into, because before that I'd never really played FPS games. So that was the beginning of that.
Back into it with StarCraft 2.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I was rooming with Juan in college, and so he and I both signed up for the StarCraft 2 beta, and we both got into the first round. And this was in 2009 or late 2009, and we played the shit out of it. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna tell this story, and then this will be where we end segment 1, because this is a fun story related to StarCraft 2. So we got access to the StarCraft 2 beta on one of our roommates. So we lived in a 6-person apartment on campus, so a dorm apartment. So Juan and I were in one room, 2 of our other friends were in another room, and then we had 2 other friends in single rooms. So there were 2 doubles and 2 singles.
Yeah.
And one of the guys in the double room over there, it was his 21st birthday, so he can go out and drink now.
Brilliant.
And so what they did was they went out to a couple bars, and the thing is, this is how much StarCraft 2 dominated our lives at this point. They were going out drinking and like gonna have a party and everything like that, and like, no, we're gonna stay in and play StarCraft. So like he goes out with the girl he's dating at the time and like a couple of our other friends, both from this apartment and another one, and they go out to a couple bars and restaurants, and they come back later having had a few, and they apparently stopped at the package store on the way back, so they had a couple more bottles of booze, and they went back into the double room to kind of keep the party going.
Hell yeah, man.
Juan and I had been playing StarCraft continuously for the last like 3 hours.
Yeah.
Then around this is probably around like 2 a.m. or something like that. They had kind of tapered off and gone to bed. We're still playing StarCraft. We hear that friend kind of go out into the hallway and stumble into the bathroom, and we hear him just shout, "I'm a dragon!" And then he vomits into the toilet. And so, for the rest of the night, this demonstrates both our devotion to our friends and to StarCraft. Juan and I, every 2 games, Juan and I traded off going in there to check on him, make sure he was okay, get him some water, and everything like that. But it was like, okay, we played 2 games, all right, go check on him. All right, back. Play 2 games, all right, Juan, it's your turn, go check on him.
Nice.
And we did this until like 4 a.m. when he finally went back to bed.
Jesus. How long was he just vomiting for?
About an hour and a half.
Jesus. Normally you vomit, it takes
It wasn't
5 minutes to go back.
It wasn't continuous. It was just vomit, drink some water, try to get up and go back to bed, and then like, oh no, I'm not feeling it, and he'll just go back in there. He wasn't continuously. Dude,
when you vomit and you're done. In my experience,
I think it was just like after that he still had an upset stomach, so just getting up and moving around was making him kind of dizzy.
Yeah, if he'd eaten something shitty, it might have been more of a prolonged thing. But alcohol-wise, you just get it out of your system and you're good.
Yeah, so it was, but it's a night that I actually remember fondly.
Yeah, do you?
But we played StarCraft for probably like 6 or 7 hours that night.
My God,
continuously.
The game.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
But we did take a break to take care of our friends. Just not to go to the party.
I don't think this was a win for friendship, Kaiser. I'm going to be serious. So yeah.
All right. Let's end it there. This is going to be the end of segment 1 of the TMCJ podcast. Thank you all for listening, and you will hear us again momentarily for segment 3, actually. Welcome back to the TMCJ podcast. We are on segment 3. Yes, I need to figure out a better naming convention than this now, because
it's the wildcard zone.
It's the wildcard segment, but it's also not the 3rd segment, but it's still segment 3. It just feels so unnatural to say, Anyway, doesn't matter.
We miss our baby, segment 2.
Yeah, we'll get. It'll take some growing into this new format.
I took my baby.
What is that from?
That's Dingo took my baby. Shit.
A dingo took my baby. I have no idea what that's from. All right.
Australia.
So we just all of Australia. So we are going to be doing more reading of Eye of Argon. We thought about potentially doing long story short for this one, but neither of us were feeling too enthused about it today. So you will, and it has been months now. Episode 62 was the last time we read Eye of Argon, and so we were back to it. A reminder for those that don't remember this series, the way the Eye of Argon game works is that Eye of Argon is a short story written by one Jim Thies, I think back in the 70s. It is famous for being one of the worst written stories ever. And the way you play the little reading game with it is we will trade off reading, and each of us will read until we either screw up laugh or some other random thing happens, and then the other person will take over. The reason that is the only rule is that the story is littered with spelling mistakes, grammar mistakes, weird punctuation, very, very odd descriptive words. And the rule is you have to read it as written on the page. So anyway, we left off on page 41. We're actually going to read the first two paragraphs, or the last two paragraphs on that page again, because it's the beginning of the section. And then we will continue on. We're going to roll to see who goes first. We've both got a D20 in our hands, so I've rolled a 19.
That's a nat 20.
Did you actually roll a 20?
I actually rolled a nat 20.
Holy shit. All right, Blue's going first.
I was going to hold it up, but this dice is very hard to read.
Yeah, it's all good. All right.
Okay, I'll read.
You're starting from in the face.
In the face of the amorphous, broad-breasted female, stretched out alluringly before his gaping eyes, the universal whim of nature filing a plea of despair inside of his white-hot soul, Grigner acted in the only matter he could perceive, giving vent to a hoarse, throat-rending battle cry. Grigner plunged into the midst of the startled shaman, torch simmering in his left hand, and axe twirling in his right hand.
I wanted to let you finish, but it's only manner he could. You said only matter he could.
Did I?
You did.
Shit.
So okay. I'll take over from the next paragraph.
Of all those, I'm very nearly cracked and
yeah,
giving vent to a horse.
Yeah, the comma there, like that actually is grammatically correct, but it's just us reading aloud that isn't. All right.
The only manner he could perceive. Anyway, go on.
A gaunt, skull-faced priest standing at the far side of the altar clutched desperately at his throat, coughing furiously in an attempt to catch his breath. Lurching helplessly to and fro, the acolyte pitched headlong against the gleaming base of a massive jade idol. Writhing agonizedly against the hideous image, foam flecking his chalk-white lips, the priest struggled helplessly, the victim of an epileptic seizure. Sorry,
my fault.
That deet is the, like, he didn't do a dash. I think that was supposed to be like an ellipsis or something. It looks like Morse code.
Yeah,
anyway.
I don't know what that is. Also, it is technically seizure, but I had made you laugh.
Seizure?
So, you're fine.
Okay. Startled by the barbarians' stunning appearance, the chronic fit of their fellow, and the fear that Grignar might be the avant-garde of a conquering force dedicated to the cause of destruction.
No, you stopped.
I was expecting that to be spelled wrong. I'm surprised he spelled it right. I know, I'm surprised he spelled it right. All right, you could, pick up from wherever.
Okay. Startled by the barbarians' stunning appearance, the chronic fit of their fellow, and the fear that Grignar might be the avant-garde of a conquering force dedicated to the cause of destroying their degenerated cult, the Saimen momentarily lost their composure. Giving vent to heedless pandemonium, the priests fell easy prey to Grignar's sweeping arc of crimson death and maiming destruction.
Yeah, just
destruction.
Once again, this guy had a thesaurus and nothing else in his house.
He could not spell. The acolyte performing the sacrifice took a vicious blow to the stomach, hands clutching vitals and several spinal cord as he... I said several.
You did. All right.
Yeah.
The acolyte performing the sacrifice took a vicious blow to the stomach, hands clutching vitals and severed spinal cord as he sprawled over the altar. The disorganized priests lurched and staggered.
No, that's a laugh.
But I didn't laugh. I kept it together. It is.
How was that not the disorganized?
That's what it is. There's a space. Disorganized.
I know, but it's fine. Keep going then.
Disorganized priests lurched and you actually have to laugh. I didn't laugh. I just smiled at it. The disorganized priest lurched and staggered with split skulls, dismembered limbs, and spewing entrails before the enraged... Okay, I forgot he was called an accordion. All right, you can pick up from spewing entrails.
Spewing entrails before the enraged Ecordian's relentless onslaught. The howlers of the maimed and dying reverberated through the walls of the tiny chamber, a chorus of hell-fraught despair, as the granite floor ran red with blood. The entire chamber was encompassed in the heat of raw, savage butchery as Grigna luxuriated in the grips of a primitive, beastly bloodlust. Presently, all went silent, save for the ebbing groans of the sinking shaman, and Grignar's heavy breath accompanied by several gusty curses. The well had run dry. No more lambs remained for the slaughter. The rampaging steed of death, having taken of Grignar for the moment, left the barbarian free to the exploitation of his other Perusials. Towering over his head was the misshaped image of the cult's hideous deity. ... Argon. The fantastic size of the idol, in consideration of its being of pure jade, was enough to cause the senses of any man to stagger and reel. Yet thus was not the case for the behemoth. He had paid only casual notice to this incredible fact, while riveting the whole of his attention upon the jewel protruding from the idol's soul socket, its masterfully cut facets. Faucets.
It is faucets, yeah, he spelled it wrong again. All right. From its masterfully.
Yeah. It's masterfully cut faucets emitting.
You could just...
This is just me.
That's fine, just keep going. Keep going.
Emitting blinding rays of hypnotizing beauty. After all, a man cannot slink from a heavily guarded palace while burdened down by the intense bulk of a squatting statue, providing, of course, that the idol can even be hefted. Which, of a squatting... No, fuck, I did the same line. Ah!
Yeah.
That was a terrible run.
Which, in fact, was beyond the reaches of Grignar's coursing stamina. I'm sorry. On the other hand, you can pick up after this one because I laughed. On the other hand, the jewel, gigantic as it was, would not present a hindrance of any mean concern. Of any mean concern?
Help me, ... Please, ... I can make it well worth your while, pleaded a soft, anguish-strewn voice wafting over Grignar's shoulders as he plucked the dull red emerald from its roots. Turning, Grignar faced the female that had lured him into this bloodbath, but whom had become all but forgotten in the heat of the battle. You, ejaculated the accordion, in a pleased tone. I thought I had seen the last of you at the tavern, but verily I was mistaken. Grignar advanced into the grips of the female's entrancing stare, severing the golden chains that held her captive upon the altar's highly polished face of ornamental limestone. As Grignar lifted the girl from the altar, her arms wound dexterously about his neck, soft and smooth against his harsh exterior. Art thou pleased that we have chanced to meet once again? Grignar merely voiced a unsigned grunt, returning the damsel's embrace while he smothered her trim, delicate lips between the coursing protrusions of his reeking maw. Did he sit on her face?
I think they're trying to describe him kissing her, but that's what it sounds like. It sounds like he sat on her face.
You saved me.
Yeah, this is how you know Grignar's a gamer. He just teabagged her.
Is the accordion the girl?
No, he's the accordion. I think he's from Accordia or something like that. It's been a while since we started this story.
I made him Palpatine.
You made him Palpatine, but Grignar is the accordion.
Okay, Grignar is the... Okay, I'll bear that in mind. Did I make a mistake?
No, you didn't, but it's the end of the page, so we switch off.
This is true.
Let us take leave of this wretched chamber. Oh, God, no, I fucked up. It's let us take leave of this Oh, no, I did read it right. Never mind. I'm just...
Well, normally it's got W, but yeah, I was going to let you get away with it because it's the same.
Stated Grignar as he placed the female upon her feet. she swooned a moment, causing Grignar to give her support, then regained her stance. That was a weird one.
It was.
Do you want to switch or?
Yeah, sure.
Art
I'm just
thou?
trying to work out who's talking next. I assume the damsel. Was she speaking like that?
Yeah.
I'm really not sure.
Yeah,
Anyway.
go for her. Let's just use her voice.
Art thou able to find your way through the accursed passages of this castle, Mfrick? Every one of the corridors of this damned place are identical. I was at one time a slave of Prince Agaphim. His clammy touch sent a sour swill through my belly, but my efforts reaped a harvest. I gained the pig's liking, whereby he allowed me the freedom of the palace. It was through this means that I eventually managed to escape of the palace. ... It was a simple matter to seduce the sentry at the western gate. His trust found him with a dagger thrust his ribs. The wench stated whimsically.
Whimsicorically. I'll take over from...
Okay.
What were you doing at the tavern whence I discovered you? Asked Grignar as he lifted the female through the opening into the mausoleum. By the way, mausoleum spelled wrong, but still pronounced the same with that misspelling.
Is this spelled wrong?
I think it is.
Mausoleum?
Some of these words I'm not actually... I probably would have fucked up as much as Jim Thighs if I didn't have autocorrect.
Well, no, he's got the really complex words down. It's the really simple ones he can't spell.
Like with. All right. I had sought to lay low from the palace's guards as they can...
No.
Oh, is it the wench?
Yeah, the wench. No one had said wench up to this point, Kaiser.
No, he called her wench.
Not in this episode.
Oh, yeah, that's true. He called her wench in like 5 pages ago. What were you doing at the tavern whence... Oh, no, that's the wrong one. I had sought to lay low from the palace's guards as they conducted their search for me. The tavern was seldom frequented by the palace guards, and my identity was unknown to the common soldiers. It was through the disturbance that you caused that the palace guards were attracted to the tavern. I was dragged away shortly after you were escorted to the palace. All right, yeah, I fucked that one up a lot, so you can go.
What are you called by female?
That's actually what it says. What are you called by female? Oh no, it's missing a comma, I think. What are you called by female?
Female, yeah, but no, it doesn't have that.
It's funny how much difference a comma makes.
Carthena, daughter of Mincardos, Duke of Barwago, whose lands border along the northwestern fringes of Gorzum. I was paid as homage to Agaphim upon his 38th year, husked the femme.
Yeah.
And I am called a barbarian, grunted Grignar in a disgusted tone. Aye, the way of our civilization are in many ways warped and distorted. But what is your calling? She queried, bustily. Question mark.
Why is that a question?
Grignar of Accordia. Ah, I have heard vaguely of Accordia. It is the hill country to the far east of the Fuck.
Yeah, I'll take over. It is the hill country to the far east of the Norgolian Empire. I have also heard Agaphim curse your land more than once when his troops were routed in the unaccustomed mountains of and gorges. Saith she. Wait, why is there a... That's all one word, actually. Gorges dot saith she. There's no spaces.
It's a website. Gorges.saith.
I, period. My people are not tarnished by petty luxuries and baubles. They remain fierce and unconquerable in their native climes. After reaching the hidden panel at the head of the stairway, Grignar was at a loss in regard to its operation. His fire cest heaves were
Isn't
as...
that fiercest?
I don't think that's how you spell fiercest. I think it's EI, not IE, whatever. His fiercest heaves were as pebbles against the burnished armor. Carthena depressed a small symbol included with the elaborate design upon the panel, whereupon it slowly slid into the cleft in the wall. How did you come to be the victim of those crazed shaman? Quested Grignar as he escorted Carthena through the piles of rummage on the left side of the trap. What the fuck? Okay, you're up next anyway because that's the end of the page. But
I assume this is female.
Yeah.
By A. Afim's orders, I was thrust into a secluded cell to await his passing of sentence. By some means, the priests of Argon acquired a set of keys to the cell. They slew the guard placed over me and abducted me to the chamber in which you chanced to come upon the Sorzotic sacrifice. Their hell-spawned cult demands a sacrifice once every 3 months upon its full journey through the heavens. Fuck, I said months.
Yeah. Through its full yeah, okay.
3 moons.
Moons. They were startled by your unannounced appearance through the fear that you had been sent by Agathim. The prince would surely have submitted them to the most ghastly of tortures if he had ever discovered their unfaithfulness to Sargon, his bastard deity. Many of the partakers of this ritual were high nobles and high trustees of the inner palace. Agathim's pitiless wrath would have been unparalleled. They have no more to fear of Agathim now, bellowed Grignar in a deep, mirthful tone. A gleeful...
Nope.
Wait, what did I do wrong? Tone.
Read it again? Yeah.
All right, bellowed Grignar in a deep, mirthful tone. All right, you can pick up from there.
A gleeful smirk upon his face. I have seen that they were delivered from his vengeance. Engrossed by Carthena's graceful stride and conversation, Grignar failed to take a note of the footfalls rapidly approaching behind him. As he swung aside the arched portal linking the chamber with the corridors beyond, a mad and bloodlusting screech reverberated from his eardrums. Seemingly, utilizing the speed of thought, Grignar swiveled to face his unknown foe. With gaping eyes and widened jaws, Grignar raised his axe above his surly mane, but he was too late.
Alright, can we talk about the fact that the sound came from Grignar's ears?
Did it?
Yeah, like, you read it right. It's just,
yeah, from his eardrums, yeah.
Yeah, he literally is shouting from his ears.
No, reverberated from his eardrums.
Yeah, exactly. That means it's coming out.
Well, no, it means it bounced off of them.
Oh, I see.
But yeah, it's
a very weird sentence. It makes it sound like his ears are screaming. All right, new section.
Oh, is it you and me?
Yeah, it's a new section, new page, and fuck up is where we switch.
Okay, I've never seen these new sections before, and now we've got 7 and 7.5.
Yeah, this is weird. This is a really short one, because normally the sections are a lot longer. All right. With wobbling knees and swimming head, the priest that had lapsed into an epileptic seizure rose unsteadily to his feet. While enacting his choking fit in writhing agony, the shaman was overlooked by Grignar. The barbarian had mistaken the seizure for the death throes of the acolyte, allowing the priest to avoid his stinging blade. The sight
Hang on a sec. Just for reference, they're spelling seizure wrong every time, so expect it to be seizure.
Seizure, okay.
Go on.
The sight that met the priest's inflamed eyes nearly served to sprawl him upon the floor once more. The sacrificial... I got that one.
The sacrificial.
No, the sacrificial. He added an extra I in there.
No, that's meant to be there.
That's not how you spell sacrificial.
It is.
No, it isn't. There's no I-A-L at the end. Sacrificial is not a word.
The English dictionary would like to disagree with you there.
Is this another, like, British versus American spelling? Anyway. His sacrificial, the sacrificial sat it grim, blood-splattered silence all around him, broken only by the occasional yelps and howls of his maimed and butchered fellows. Above his head rose the hideous idol, its empty socket holding the shaman's infuriated gaze.
No N. If furbished.
If furbished. Okay, you can pick up from there. His eyes.
Furbished, infuriated gaze. His eyes turned to a stony glaze with the realization of the pillage and blasphemy. Due to his high susceptibility following the seizure, the priest was transformed into a raving maniac bent solely upon wreaking vengeance. With lips curled and quivering, a crust of foam dripping from them, the acolyte drew a long, wicked-looking jewel-hilted scimitar from his silver girdle, and fled through the aperture in the ceiling, uttering and faintly perceptible ceremonial gibberish. I said and instead of a.
Yeah. What's the end of the section anyway? So.
Also, I said aperture when it should have been apparature.
Apparature, yeah. A sweeping scimitar swung towards Grignar's head in a shadowed blur of motion. With axe raised over his head, Grignar prepared to parry the blow while the gaping, wide-eyed, in open-mouthed perplexity. Wow, okay. Suddenly, a sharp snap resounded behind the frothing shaman. The scimitar, halfway through its fatal sweep, dropped from a quivering, nerveless hand, cluttering harmlessly to the Stone Age.
It fell so far, it went back through time.
I think he's trying to say stonage or something like that. Like as if it's... I don't know. Cutting his screech short with a blubbering red-mouthed gurgle.
Bubbling.
The last... Bubbling? I'm almost done with the page. I'll try that in a second. Red-mouthed gurgle. The lacerated acolyte staggered under the pressure of the released springboard. After a moment of hopeless struggling, the shaman buckled, sprawling face down in a widening pool of blood and entrails. That's the end of the page.
Finish?
Yeah, I'll finish the sentence. His regal purple robe blending enhancingly with the swirling streams of crimson.
Muffrick. Hang on, what is actually that word? Murifk.
Murifk. I think it's supposed to be like a pain noise.
Yeah, it's meant to be a swear, I guess. Murifk. I thought I had killed the last of those dogs, muttered Grignar, in a half-apathetic state. Nay, Grignar, you're... Nay? Female? Nay, Grignar, you doubtless grew careless while giving vent to your lusts. But let us not tarry any long, lest we overtax the fates. The paths leading to freedom will soon be barred. The wretch's cries must certainly have attracted unwanted attention, the wench mused.
She's a wench again.
She is. By what direction shall we pursue our flight? This is a very well-spoken barbarian.
Yeah, I know. Like, he is better... Yeah.
Up that stair and down the corridor a short distance is the concealed entrance. Entrance? Is that... There's an extra E.
Yeah.
I was right. Entrance to a tunnel seldom used by others than the prince and known to few others save the palace's royalty. I'll let you go.
It is used mainly by the prince when he wishes to When he wishes to take leave of the palace in secret. It is not always in the prince's best interest to leave his chateau in public view.
That's just French, mate. That's just chateau.
Yeah, fuck you. I don't speak French. Even while under heavy guard, he is often assaulted by hurtling stones and rotten fruits. The commoners have little love for him, lectured the near lady. What? Lectured the near lady. All right. Well, I fucked up a bunch in that paragraph, so you can take over.
It is amazing that they would ever have left a pig like him become their ruler. That was correct. I had to go back and check that it did say left.
It did say left, yes.
I should imagine that his people would rise up and crucify him like the dog he is. Alas, Grignar, it is not as simple as all that. His soldiers are well paid by him. So long as he keeps their wages up, they will carry out his damned wishes. The crude implements of the common folk would never stand up under an onslaught of forged blades and protective armour. They would be going to their own slaughter, stated Carthena, to a confused but angered Grignar as they topped the stairway. Yet how can they bear to live under such oppression? I would sooner die beneath the sword than live under such a dog's command, added Grignar, as the pair stalked down the hall in the direction opposite, that in which Grignar had come. But all men are not of the same mould that you are born of. They choose to live as they are, so as to save their filthy necks from the chopping block, returned Carthena in a disgusted tone as she cast an appeased glance towards the stalwart figure at her side, whose left arm was wound dexterously about her slim waist. His slowly waning torch, I'll finish the sentence. His slowly waning torch casting their images in intermingling wisps as it dangled from his left hand.
So, they're having like some kind of a weird, deep philosophical debate as Grignar is just like,
groping her.
Yeah.
I think he's carrying her out because that's what barbarians do.
Yeah. He's a caveman. All right. Presently, Carthena came upon the panel, concealed almost the other granite slabs, and what?
Oh,
that is what it says.
I thought you said almost. That was no. Yeah. I realized afterwards you did. I just get it right. Sorry.
Concealed amongst the other granite slabs, and discernible only by. Oh, he did spell it right. I read it wrong. And discernible only by the burned out crescent above it.
Crescent.
I'm reading all the wrong words right and all the right words wrong.
Yeah, you are.
We're making fun of Jim Thighs. I'm the one that's fucking up. All right, you can go.
As I push the crescent aside, push the panel inwards. Katrina, because they spelt it wrong, motioned to the panel she was referring to and twisted the crescent in a counterclockwise motion. Grignar braced his right shoulder against the walling, concentrating the force of his bulk against it. The slab gradually swung inwards with a slight grating sound. Carthena stooped beneath Grignar's corded arms and crawled up on all fours into the passage beyond. Grignar followed after easing the slab back into place.
All right. We're kind of like coming up on time, and
my voice is dying.
Yeah, we're actually probably gonna. The next time we do this, we'll probably finish because there's only 3.5 pages left.
Oh my god.
God. And at this point, it's one of those things where I just want to finish it so that we're done with this. God. Yeah, this was not a good one for me.
Yeah?
I don't know.
Well, I think that there was less hilarious, stupid things. You just got a lot of spelling mistakes in this one.
A lot of spelling mistakes and a lot of
stupid sentences.
There were some funny ones earlier. Like I love the image of like. You're right. Grignar's a barbarian, but he seems to be the most well-educated person here.
Yeah.
All right.
No, that single line about the female was, I think, probably my favorite. What are you called by female?
What are you called by female? Oh God.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, so this is going to be where we're ending. Normally we would have another half hour in this podcast where we're talking about media, but like I said earlier, we're going to be separating that out moving forward. Let us know what you think of the new format. This one, obviously, we had topics heavy, and then we were just reading for the second half. So we'll see how this feels going forward. We may make some more tweaks, move some other things around, see how we feel about it. But for now, we're going to end it. This is the end of episode 76 of the TMCJ podcast. Thank you all for listening, and you will hear us again next week.
Mrifk.